and welcome to our digital discovery webinar this morning. My name is Matt Minner, the Director of Technical Services with Catalyst Connection. And with me from Korra.ai, I have Lior Messinger and Aaron Rissman. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you. And before we hand it over to them for them to get started on talking about practical AI on the factory floor, cutting downtime and boosting first-time fix, which we're very excited to learn a little bit more about Korra.ai and how it operates and the benefits it can bring. We do want to talk about SmartPA, which is the program that makes this webinar series possible, SmartPA along with Digital Bridge. SmartPA is a Department of Energy funded program under their Smart Manufacturing Leadership Program. This is unique in that it is a Pennsylvania-wide initiative that supports small and medium manufacturers with smart manufacturing deployment. And we have partners across the state, including Digital Foundry here not too far away in New Kensington, near Pittsburgh. And then our 6 other IRC centers, industrial resource centers across Pennsylvania, are also available to support this program. And it's also supported by SESME, the Smart Manufacturing Institute, so the Clean Energy and Smart Manufacturing Innovation Institute. So we're fortunate to have resources from that team as well. And speaking of resources, SmartPA brings a range of them, from free on-site technology opportunity assessments and low cost or free technical assistance projects, along with $5,000 mini grants that we're working to award to 70 manufacturers across the Commonwealth. And finally, a range of no-cost training available through the Digital Foundry, all around smart manufacturing and technology deployment. And these types of projects, really, while we talk smart manufacturing, it does have a pretty broad applicability, whether we're talking tying together disparate systems or digitizing manual processes on the data side, or still robotics and automation around physical automation, and even cybersecurity, and of course AI, what we're talking about today. So lots of ways that you can leverage SmartPA in your manufacturing operations. And then finally, this digital discovery session will be available on demand. We will record the session, so you'll be able to tune in and check on this one or any prior sessions you may have missed. And we will have upcoming sessions, so definitely stay tuned for those as they become available. And so as we turn it over to Lior, please note, you can ask questions at any point using the questions feature in your sidebar or just in the chat. So we'll definitely welcome questions and can chime in on those, and we'll pose those as they come in, or we'll definitely save some time for questions at the end. So with that, let me go ahead and make Lior, I'll make you the presenter. So you can go ahead and get started. So.
Yes. Hi guys, do you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we are. Here it comes.
All right. Very good. So thanks everyone for joining in this morning. So my name is Lior, and I'm the CEO and founder of Korra.ai. With me, Aaron Rissman, joined us recently as the general manager and the guy who's running everything in North America. So first of all, a bit about Korra, and then we'll dive into our mission. Korra was founded actually before AI was a big word and a big revolution in 2020. One of the projects I had at the time was about technical documentation, and at some point I saw the documentation and I said, there's no way that this has to be the understanding and finding stuff inside all those technical user manuals and SOPs. No way this is still the way it is, with Control F or even paper. And that's how Korra came about. We started out as an NLP company, natural language processing, and soon enough in 2022, ChatGPT OpenAI broke into our lives, and you know, everything changed. Before that, we had to convince people that what we offer is doable. Once the market was educated, in about 3 or 4 months, everyone just believed us, you know. So hey, show us what you got.
It was really like a BC and an AC moment, before ChatGPT and after ChatGPT.
Yes.
And this is really what pushed Lior and where the product is today.
Yes, you can definitely say that again. Okay, so talking about AI, everyone wants AI, and we'll just very quickly, you know, imagine a company that produces servo motors. In this instance, Robotech, it's actually one of our clients. And imagine that they want to get into AI, and they want to allow their technicians, their probably young technicians who don't understand so well in the ins and outs of the motors, to, you know, fix stuff, install stuff, set up stuff. So they heard about AI, okay, and they said, well, what can we do? I mean, because AI doesn't really know, ChatGPT is not familiar with our internal documentation, right? What do we do in such a case? And there is a way that ChatGPT indeed solved that problem, all right? It's called GPTs. So all you need to do is to upload into those GPTs a few of all of your library of documentation, up to 20 documents. And then once you do that, ChatGPT allows you via this UI that you can see here, ask questions. So imagine yourself, you know, a young technician, just got the job, and you're there to replace one of the older guys, the veterans who's going to retire soon. And you got a job that involves installing or connecting to a Molex connector. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that connector, and you know, they told you, listen, connect that connector. So you need to connect it, but what is the pin mapping? So you can say something like, what are the pin mappings on the Molex connector? Okay, so this is a ChatGPT, what AI knowledge base, if you will. It gives an answer. It gives a great answer based on the documentation that you, as a user, as a knowledge manager in the company, have uploaded. And indeed, as a young technician, you look at that and you go, "Wow, that's nice." But hey, what is pin number 1? Which pin is pin number 2? I need to know that, okay? And what we want to show you guys here is really the good stuff that ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, whoever can provide very, very easily. But when at what point does it stop and really come short of what we need as people in the industry? And what we need here is really a visual, okay? And this is actually where Korra comes in. The same question, what are the mapping of the pins in the Molex, indeed produces the right pin mapping, but it comes along with something that is essential. They say a picture was worth 1,000 words, but really, sometimes a picture is irreplaceable, and you just have to have it. And Korra has a technology that allows the AI indeed to show the pin mappings or whatever other diagrams. And not only that, but it does open the right technical document and pulls you right into the exact place where that answer came from, even highlights the right section, the right paragraph with you. So you are here and you are immediately taken into a place where you can read a bit more, you can delve into the subject matter. And most importantly, it is a document that has been vetted and has been authored, but by personnel from the manufacturer. That so it's really in one way 100% accuracy. See, because one of the problems of many AI LLMs or AI chatbots is the fact they are trying to please, right? And if they don't know the answer, they would make something up and it would sound extremely convincing. And I'm sure that you guys probably have heard about the so-called hallucinations, when these creatures, so to speak, are spitting out words and explanations that are really totally wrong. Okay, so that's extremely important for everyone to have this ability to take the original documentation and look at that, okay, and not count only on the AI. All right, so that's Korra in a nutshell. We actually support not only documentation, we also support videos. Okay, so questions like how to replace the motor would also take you inside the video. Indeed, some of the times, many of the tutorials are coming up as a form of a video, 1,000 pictures. As they say, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. And that is another thing, another visual that we put as a mission for us to provide. Tables, very much used and very underestimated in complexity, okay? Because sometimes it has thousands of rows, and go find a certain row with your specific questions, a specific answer to a certain question. That's not something that's easy, and indeed Korra does that as well. So summing up everything, and then I'll turn into questions, Q&A, if anyone has one. This is Korra, okay? It's a secure, 100% accurate. We install it on-prem, we install it on the cloud, on-prem meaning on the factory floor itself, even without an internet connection. We have the deep integration into the visuals, as said, and we have an embedded document viewer for documents like PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoint presentation, Excel files, and even videos. Any questions until now, until what you've seen?
Lior, I think it would be great if we could jump into the usage of where this is.
We had one question. I mean, you mentioned hallucinations, Lior, and kind of how the system helps avoid them. And I think, can you just expand on that a little bit? Are there approaches that prevent Korra from doing hallucinations, or is it primarily because you have the references that you can double check things? Can you expand on that just briefly?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Actually, part of the technology is dedicated to reduce hallucination. Okay, so what we do, you know, as many people, also LLMs are better at giving advices, all right, than actually generating stuff. Or if you will, some LLMs, like some people, the first answer is kind of a draft. And when you ask them to reflect on that answer and to see whether it was accurate or not, it would do even a better job And that's the first step that we use behind the scene. So we first of all produce an answer, and then we actually let the LLM behind the scenes reflect on it and say whether this answer is really correct or not. Okay? And that has been shown to reduce hallucinations. Okay? And that is the first step. The second step is indeed the citable references, the fact that within a click, the user can go into the actual document and find out the real and the 100% approved answer. Is that, I hope that does answer the question.
Yeah, no, that gives some more context. Thank you, Lior.
All right, cool. So continuing on to Korra, we actually are going to expand when we talk about knowledge. We have the documentation, okay, which was provided, but we are nowadays actually with one of our biggest clients are working on something that would connect the documentation with sensor data. So imagine someone asking a question, the AI goes into the documentation and suggests a few experiments to do in order to see where the problem really is. Not always would the problem present itself as part of the documentation, but many times the technician on the field would need to try to close one of the valves, for example, in order to see or to replace a certain circuit, or to do some sort of graphs to compare two sensors. Maybe the problem with the pressure was because voltage was down at the same time, right? So many of these things are being actually, but so the system allows to investigate that, not only producing an answer, but also assisting you in exploring, in the exploration. And the last thing, a very exciting, I believe, development that is probably going to be out next year. We call it the interviewer or the digital replica, which basically allows, for the first time ever, I think, for AI to interview veteran workers, veteran engineers, you know, whether after, in this use case, as an example, once the technician has closed the ticket, usually they say, well, I did that, I did this, but then the question is, why did you do that? What led you to think that the problem was in the valve? And this tribal knowledge, this undocumented expertise is something that hasn't been really touched upon until now. And we are very excited about this direction. And we actually are looking for beta testers, for design partners for that. We offer the assistant as a knowledge assistant on the field, as you already saw. We also offer a training plugin for the training process, you know, all those video courses that usually have a quiz after each video. This time, one of our clients, as an example, used us in order to allow trainees to ask questions and to delve more on what they were asked, to help them in the quiz. Okay, and we already showed the troubleshooting assistant, the co-pilot in the previous slide. And the technology is, I think, pretty cool. We take these documents are sometimes 2,000 pages long. So this is not something that an LLM can ingest in one go. So we actually disassemble the documentation to its pages, and we build what's called a knowledge graph. We identify the different paragraphs in the page, what are the chapter names, what are the subtitles. We even understand the drawing, the tables, and so on. And last, what Aaron talked about is really one of the usages, right? Imagine, and this is based on a true story, as they say, a technician in the field on a semiconductor factory that has to enter a clean room, which is air-gapped without any internet inside, and try to find the cause of a certain problem. Okay, the steps that he or she has to go through, you know, includes checking the logs, consulting the team leader by the phone, and sometimes it's not, or many times it's not even a smartphone, right? Because these companies are very protective of IP. They only allow older generation phones to be entered into the fab. All that could take, you know, according to some measurements, almost an hour. And now imagine the alternative. The alternative is a server that sits inside the fabrication plant and cuts this time into seconds instead of 45 minutes. So all in all, I think that sums up the different, one of the most nicely demonstrative use cases for a technology like AI. How much can it solve, and how much can it save time that would then could be used not only for searching for the problem, but also for thinking on how can be, or thinking on how this can be solved. That's it.
Thank you, Lior. We do have a couple questions, so we'll pose those here. And so, yeah, if anyone else has questions, please put them in the questions panel or in the chat, and we will walk through that. So our first question here is around data security. You mentioned like on-prem solutions or installations.
Yes, so I think it's a great question. And, you know, there's so many cyber companies.
As far as those look like as data security and privacy goes, what does it look like? Is everything the remote Korra servers? Can you talk a little about that?
Yes, sure. And I think that's a great question, because, you know, there are so many cyber companies, cyber protection companies, that their goal is to come and secure the cloud or your application as a company, your company's application on the cloud. And they do a great job, but there's always a risk. There's always a risk of human error, mainly of human error, and a risk of a very sophisticated hacker that would find a secret door to come in. And really, what has been shown, you know, that's something that is extremely hard, if not impossible to penetrate, is simply disconnecting from the internet. Okay, once you have that, you reduce the abilities of a hack to almost zero. All the defense industry is using that. The semiconductors, that's why they are not connected to the internet. And this is the way we actually went, right? So we don't have any server elsewhere. Everything is on one box. Where the company takes the box that we provide, it puts it inside the plant, connects the wires, and pretty much fully secured, unpenetratable. So that's about that. I have to say that it does somewhat reduces the convenience of using the system outside. So we do provide also a cloud environment, you know, and when we do that, we adhere to all the security standards, SOP 2, if anyone knows, ISO 27001, and so on and so forth. The cloud solution is more of a standard. I think the non-standard, the non-regular way is to go off the cloud at all.
Oh, thank you. And are there any limitations with that being with the on-prem solution? I mean, are you limited by, you know, the server that's installed in terms of, obviously AI talks about using lots of, you know, computing power. So what kind of limitations do you run into there?
I think that's again a very good question. There is a trade-off, obviously. If we are on the cloud, we can use the biggest LLMs, right? We can use OpenAI, we could use Anthropic, we could use Copilot with their huge servers, okay? On the inside the fab, we have and we had to do and to work on a lot of optimizations that would allow us to basically function, right? So it was harder for us to get to that point. There is a reduction in quality, but I don't think it is visible to the human eye. All right, so if we would to test it statistically on a few thousand of questions, yes, we would see a difference between the performance inside the fab and outside. But I believe, at least from what I'm being told by our customers, that we do manage to provide the right solution even without OpenAI and ChatGPT.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, one last question before we wrap this up. And you know, this has been great information, especially seeing all the focus and the ability to pull in not just the textual but the graphical information is really important when you get, especially when manuals, everything are very graphic heavy. So talk about, you know, how do companies get started down this path? What would a pilot deployment look like for a manufacturer? Maybe share how have you gotten started with some of your maybe smaller clients, or even just any client, how it starts.
Yeah, I think let me just show you. By the way, talking about privacy and security, it's important for me to note that all of the documents that you've seen here are public. Okay, so obviously we always just we can only display what is allowed. Okay, so basically when anyone wants to join, say either they join the actual SaaS solution, like what you see here, okay, on the cloud, and the only really thing that one needs to do is to upload a few files, okay, the files that guys want to provide the answers. Okay, you simply add the files here, and the files being uploaded, and pretty much almost that's it. All right, so the integration effort, because it's based on files, on documents, is extremely easy. We do offer, of course, connectors to different systems, you know, like Confluence, SAP, and so on. But for the smaller manufacturers, for the smaller companies, I think that is much easier.
Okay. And well, I think that's just a good extension of that question. Lots of manufacturers have, whether it's an ERP or a CRM, are those straightforward connections, or is that involved or costly? Like if you wanted to connect Salesforce so they can interact with Korra around their sales records.
Exactly. So all the big platforms and the ones that are more famous, like Salesforce and Confluence, we have connectors to these. Okay. Many times there's or maybe I shouldn't say many times, but some of the times, you know, companies use their own software or some legacy software that doesn't really provide external documentation. At that point, we come in, you know, we look at, usually it's organized in tables. We look at the tables, you know, and then we connect via the database, which is a bit of a longer process, but I wouldn't say it's too involved.
Okay, well, excellent. No, that's great information. You know, we really appreciate all the time today, and just thank you for presenting today.
All right,
and for
thank you guys
those
for having us.
on the line here, absolutely. And for those online, just remember this will be posted and shared, the recording here, so you'll have an opportunity to take a look again, and feel free to reach out to myself, Lior, or Aaron with any questions. And we look forward to future sessions and, you know, engaging with you on this really important topic around AI. So thanks again, Lior and Aaron.
Thank you guys, much appreciated.
All right, have a great day, everyone.
All right, thank you.